There's this feeling a lot of us have, right? That the internet and all the apps we use every single day just kind of suck now. They're not as good as they used to be. Well, today we're going to dig into exactly why that is, and then explore a completely different future that's, believe it or not, already starting to happen. It always starts the same way, doesn't it? You find this great new app or platform. It's slick, it's useful, it feels like it was made just for you. But then, slowly, the ads start creeping in. Features you love get stuck behind a paywall, your feed gets clogged with all this junk you never asked for. So why does this keep happening over and over again?
Well, there's actually a name for it. The author Cory Doctorow calls it enshittification. And it's not just a feeling we have, it's a very real, very deliberate business strategy. It's the step by step decay of a platform when its focus shifts from making you, the user, happy to squeezing out every last drop of profit for its shareholders.
So, how does this actually work? Well, it plays out in three pretty predictable stages. First, they pull us in. They make the platform amazing, super valuable, easy to use, and we all get hooked. Once we're all locked in, stage two. They start squeezing the businesses on the platform, which usually means making our experience worse. And finally, stage three. With everyone trapped, they squeeze both sides, us and the businesses, for all we're worth just to pump up those profits for shareholders. They leave just enough value so we don't all leave in disgust.
And this quote just nails the whole lock-in thing, doesn't it? I mean, think about Facebook. It's the perfect example. You join to see photos of your friends and your cousin's new baby. Now, even when your feed is a mess of ads and weird suggested posts, you stay. Why? Because leaving means cutting yourself off from all those people. Like Doctorow says, you love those people more than you hate Mark Zuckerberg. That right there is the trap.
All right, let's talk about another giant, Amazon. It started out as the everything store, right? The focus was on price, convenience, making things great for you, the shopper. But somewhere along the line, that all changed. Now, for a product to actually succeed on Amazon, it's less about if it's a great product and more about whether the seller has paid Amazon a ton of money in fees and ads. You don't have to please customers anymore, you have to please the algorithm. And then, of course, there is Google. When you have 90% of the search market, you don't really have to try anymore, do you? We now know from internal memos that they deliberately made search results worse. Why would they do that? Well, the goal was to make you search again and again for the same thing just so they could show you more ads. When there's no real competition, serving the user just isn't the priority anymore. And here's where we make the turn from, our own personal frustrations with these apps to something much, much bigger. This business model hasn't just made our feeds annoying, it's unleashed a whole cascade of serious problems. You could almost think of them as the four horsemen of a broken internet. And here they are. First up, tech monopolies that just snuff out any real competition. Second, you get a broken economy where small local businesses just can't keep up. Third, and this is a big one, a broken democracy where these platforms become these powerful tools for manipulation. And finally, a decay of common truth where misinformation just runs rampant. I mean, the stakes couldn't be higher. So the engine driving this whole mess is the ad tech model. It's basically a giant vacuum designed to suck money away from small businesses and local economies and funnel it straight into the pockets of a handful of tech giants. It starves our communities and leaves our entire information system in the hands of a few companies that aren't accountable to anyone. Just think about it for a second. The exact same micro-targeting tools that were built to sell you a pair of shoes are also the perfect tools for spreading propaganda, for stoking division, and for attacking the very foundations of democracy. So the business model isn't just bad for us as users, it's genuinely dangerous for society. But what if there was a different way to build all this? Okay, so after all that doom and gloom, let's talk about the solution. And it's not about hoping for nicer billionaires or begging corporations to be more ethical. No, it's about fundamentally rebuilding the internet's technical foundation from the ground up. So this is the big shift. The internet we have now is centralized. It's top-down. All the data, all the power, it all flows to one single corporation. The new model is what's called federated. It's bottom-up, and it's owned by communities. Power and control are spread out, kept at a local level. So what does federated actually mean in plain English? Okay, imagine instead of one giant corporate skyscraper in Silicon Valley, you have a network of neighborhood community centers. Each center runs itself, makes its own rules, but they can all talk to each other and work together. The key is no single person owns all the community centers. That, in a nutshell, is a federated network. So how do we get from that big, abstract idea to a tool that you and I can actually use? Well, it's through something called a community super app. It's basically a practical blueprint for putting this whole federated idea into action. This visual really shows how all the pieces connect. Right in the middle, you have the super app itself. It's a single hub for all these essential local services. But the really crucial part is that it's all built on a self-sustaining financial model, one that totally breaks away from that old extractive way of doing business. So what's actually in this thing? Well, inside this one app, a community can have its very own private search engine, a local news platform that serves them, and open-source social media that's completely free from corporate algorithms. It could even have its own AI and payment systems, all owned and controlled by the community itself. And here is the absolute game changer. This is how you break the cycle of enshittification. A core ethical search platform in the app generates revenue, maybe by connecting users with local businesses for a tiny flat fee. That revenue then pays for all the other community services, the social media, the news, the AI, making them 100% ad-free. The entire incentive to spy on you and manipulate you, it's just gone. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little like some tech utopia, right? A nice idea, but not realistic. Well, let me tell you, it's already happening. Let's look at a real-world example that proves this model doesn't just work, it absolutely dominates. So let's go to Dunfermline, Scotland. A local company there built its own food delivery app, Dunfermline Eats, based on this exact community-first model. And they went head-to-head with a global giant, Just Eat. And the results were just staggering. Dunfermline Eats took over. They quickly became the #1 player in town. They treated the local restaurants better, paying them the very next day instead of making them wait a week for their money. The entire community got behind it, with the restaurants themselves becoming its biggest cheerleaders. But here's the real kicker. This is the part that proves how powerful this model is. They did all of this while spending exactly $0 on online advertising. They didn't give a single penny to the very tech giants they were competing against. Their value to the community was their marketing. So let's zoom back out. The story of Dunfermline Eats isn't just about getting a curry delivered, it's a proof of concept for a fundamentally different kind of internet. What we're talking about here is a genuine power shift. Instead of technology being a tool to suck wealth out of our communities, it becomes a tool to build them up. It's about keeping revenue, control, and power right there at the local level, where it truly belongs. Look, this isn't a problem that's going to be solved by a few Silicon Valley CEOs having a change of heart. This is a future that has to be built town by town by people deciding they want to build something better for themselves. And that really leaves us with just one final thought. What could your community build?